Right, so my name is Rachel Okello, and I'm just going to go through the free land offer for the Asebu Pan African Village, which is in Ghana. And the land offer was made by the paramount chief there, who that's me with him there. He's the paramount chief, Nana Dr. Okatakyi Amenfi the 7th. And he is the Omanhene, which is paramount chief of the Asebu traditional area. And he started the ball rolling with the free land offer in this region. And just around 2019, he apologized to the descendants of the transatlantic slave trade for the part that his kingdom would have taken in slavery, because, as many of you are aware, there was the transatlantic slavery which took place in Africa, on the west coast of Africa. And so that's what he was apologizing for. So my name is Rachel Okello. I am Welsh born. I always just say what I am, because if you're from the diaspora, you probably get people asking you all the time where you come from, and they want to know where your parents are from, etc. So I always just introduce myself in the same way. My name is Rachel Okello. I'm Welsh born to Caribbean Grenadian parents, and I'm married to a Ugandan. I'm a solicitor. I specialize in immigration law for people who want to come to the UK. And I also now have gotten into talking to people who wish to go to Ghana and people who wish to go to Uganda. So that's sort of an extension of my practice area. Currently, I do farming in Uganda, and I have also done farming in Ghana. I farmed rice in Ghana, and I do tree plantations in Uganda, groundnuts, rice, and I planted tomatoes and other stuff in Uganda as well. And I do this under the auspices of Our African Farm. So don't hesitate to touch base if you wish to do so. So just to give a bit of background, for those of you who don't know, many people know where Ghana is anyway. It's a West African country and is situated on the coast of the Gulf of Guinea. When I was in Ghana, I thought it was the Atlantic Ocean actually, but it's the Gulf of Guinea. But it's basically where you can see how the transatlantic slave trade began, because that is the passage, the first point of taking people from the African continent to America, the UK, etc. So Ghana shares a border with Togo, Burkina Faso, and the Ivory Coast. And historically, it was colonized by the British, and then it obtained its independence in 1957 under Kwame Nkrumah, who was the president there at the time. So it has a terrible history, really, of slavery. And this has led to the Ghanaian government putting together the Year of Return. The Year of Return was in 2019, and it was about people coming back to the motherland, coming back to Africa, and particularly Ghana. And Ghana now sees itself as a gateway to Africa. So people who haven't had experience of Africa can use Ghana as a soft landing. And I've been to Ghana myself, so I can tell you it is a very soft landing, particularly if you're from the Caribbean or UK Caribbean, America. You know, there's lots of people from the diaspora who are already there and who have been there for many years. So it's really a good thing if you can take a trip to Ghana if you haven't already done so. So we're in the period of beyond the return. So between 2020 and 2030, the Ghanaian government has put in place beyond the return. And that is to commemorate the 400th anniversary of the arrival of the first recorded enslaved Africans in Jamestown in America, and there's a Jamestown also in Ghana. So the Ghanaian government has allocated the next 10 years for us from the diaspora to really put our skates on or do whatever we can to get involved in Africa, and particularly in Ghana. And many people talk about, oh, the Chinese are there or the Europeans are there, but it's also really important for us to go there. And so using the Year of Return provisions, the things that they've put in place for people to go to Ghana is one sure way that we can get our historic rights really to return to Africa for those who are outside the continent in the diaspora, and even for people from Africa, some of whom who were born in Africa but have left over 30 or so years ago, 30, 20, 10 years ago, and don't know how to get back to the continent. So Ghana's a soft landing really for everybody. And the next, what we've got left now, 7 years up to 2030, is beyond the return. And the Ghanaian government is particularly focusing on us going back to Ghana. So that's me there. I was in Freedom Square. So enter then the Asebu Pan African Village offer, which was spearheaded by the paramount chief that I just showed you. And he consulted with the sub-chiefs and the elders of the Asebu region in Ghana, which is in the central region of Ghana. And they are offering land to, and this is their words, land to our brothers and sisters from the diaspora. So we put together the Friends of Asebu. I went to Ghana. I spoke to the chief, as you saw the picture of me there with the chief, and I asked his permission for us to take part in this amazing initiative that he has, which I think will bring together people from the African diaspora and people in Africa, in Ghana, and specifically actually in his region of Asebu, because sometimes people talk about, I want to go to Africa, I want to go, back to the motherland, and they don't know where to start. And Africa's a huge place, and Ghana's a huge place. West Africa's a huge place. So this is really homing in on one particular area of Ghana, of Africa, Asebu area, which is in the central region. So as the Friends of Asebu, which has been endorsed by the paramount chief, we promote the concept of investing in Africa. We promote the Asebu traditional area, which is the area of the central region, which is the area that the chief presides over in its entirety. He is the paramount chief, he's the head chief. All other chiefs come beneath him. And also we promote the free land offer in Asebu Pan African Village. And so that's what this meeting is about. It's about the 5,000 acres of free land that the chief and the sub-chiefs and the elders of the Asebu area have offered to us from the diaspora. And it's not just people who are of African transatlantic slavery heritage, if you like. It's also people from other African countries who can also come and benefit from the free land offer. So this picture there is an actual picture of the Asebu land. I took that picture myself. And it is Byron's house, who he should be on the call. He was just calling me now. I didn't take his call, but I hope he's on the call with us. So this is part of the land, and that's his house. He's actually from Wolverhampton. So the Asebu land itself is here in the middle, under where it says Agona Swedru, which is Asebu. You can just see just in the right-hand corner of the map, Accra, which is the capital. And if you come into Ghana, they have several airports, but Accra is the easiest one to use if you're going to Asebu. And then you'll travel all the way down. For people who are familiar with Ghana, you'll travel to Yamaransa on the way to Cape Coast, if anyone's been to Ghana. And Asebu is just, I would say, 20 minutes from Yamaransa. So it's in a really nice area. And I recently went to Cape Coast area, to the Asebu Pan African Village. And I spoke to them. So this is the picture I took in the office of the village. And they are giving away a plot of land. So you can see here, this is the phase 1 and phase 2 of the free land. And so they are giving away a plot of land to each person, and the plots are 80 by 100. So each red area there is the plot of land. The blue areas are commercial. So they wanted to have commercial areas like shopping malls, shops, other types of businesses. And then as you can see here, there's also some public green space, which they've put available for people as well. And you can see that here. And then the yellow land is where they want education facilities. So the idea really is for people to come together from the Asebu area, from Ghana, from Africa, and from the diaspora, and to develop this area to become part of the chief's family. So it's a kind of development of your ancestral land. It's not meant to be a commercial venture necessarily, but it's an ancestral heritage initiative for people who want to return to Ghana, return to Africa, and have land available there. And people are building their houses in this area. But equally, you can also go there for commercial reasons. And there's land allocated elsewhere outside of the Pan African Village itself for people who have a business plan, who want to do some commercial activity in the Asebu area. You'll also be free to speak to the chief about that, because you can speak to his office at the palace, And the last word obviously rests with the paramount chief. Equally, he has put aside agricultural land as well. So in the Asebu area, if you want to go there and do agriculture, as I do, then you can talk to the chief and you can get the free land as well, and you can start doing agriculture. And the idea being that you will engage and employ the local people as well, and you will bring your people, your family and your friends, and introduce them to this area. So when you go to Asebu, you'll meet many people there from the Caribbean, from Jamaica in particular, African Americans, and some people from Britain who passed from the Caribbean via Britain. So there's a lot of different people there that you will meet when you go. So land in Ghana, as I just showed you the plots, are 80 by 100 feet, and land in Ghana is leasehold. If you're not a Ghanaian citizen, then the most you'll get the land for is 55 years. So initially, when the paramount chief gave the land, he had given it to people. But what people wanted, they wanted to have the land registered, because obviously coming from the UK, coming from the diaspora, we want things registered in our name, not just that it's our land. So some people may have experience of land in the Caribbean where it's family land and it's not even registered, but everybody knows the family are there. So that was the same kind of concept that the chief had. But in this instance, people wanted their plot registered in their names. And so for the compulsory, what is now compulsory land registration and administrative costs, it's $1,200, which is around £1,000 for everybody who wants to acquire the land in the Pan African Village. And I think really it's quite good to have that, because if people just said, yes, I want land, and they go there and they may not develop the land, because you are required to develop the land within 2 years and put your structure on the land. So if you become a Ghanaian citizen, or if you are already a Ghanaian citizen, then you can get the land for up to 99 years, because some of us from, not myself, but other people who are from the diaspora, they've also acquired Ghanaian citizenship, and they'll be able to then negotiate to get the land in their name for 99 years. But otherwise, it'll be 55 years, but it's a renewable lease. So this is what they call stool land. The chiefs sit on a stool, basically, just like how we call it the crown, where the queen has a crown. So this is stool land. And so the land will just be renewed. If it's yourself or your descendants on the land, they will just renew that with the chief as time goes by. I recently went there to Asebu, and I'll just show you how the area is, because some people think, oh, what's the area like? And we are having a trip to Ghana, which I'll go into at the end.
Oh, brilliant.
But I just took some footage, really. It's quite amateurish, but it captures, I think, the area. Yeah.
This is Miss
So I'll just stop this. So this is a Jamaican lady. She's passed through America. She's from Jamaica, went to America, and then she moved to Ghana. So she set up a restaurant in Asebu town, which is just outside the Pan African Village. And this is her restaurant we're going to.
This is Miss Moy's restaurant, which I thought was in the village, but it's actually in Asebu, which is the town. So, funny enough, Asebu is vibrant, actually. I didn't know it was so vibrant. So, this is a nighttime. This is a nighttime. It's actually in a real place. It's really nice here.
I know I said it was in a real place, so don't judge me. I really didn't think. I thought it was just going to be in a bush area, actually. So it's actually in a really nice town called Asebu, which is near the Cape Coast area, if anybody's familiar with Ghana. So this I took a picture of, because if you decide to go to Asebu yourself, we are having the trip, as I said, but you might be in Ghana or you might be going to Ghana yourself. This hotel took me ages to get hold of. In fact, I didn't get hold of this hotel in the end. I think Angie, she's on the call, she helped, she lives in Ghana. And we went through Nieba to Angie, and Angie called the hotel. They will not answer the phone, but it's a lovely hotel called Ampiaba Hotel. And that's in the next town, which is called Batinya. So if you're looking for it online, you'll put in Asebu Hotel and Batinya will come up. It's the same hotel. And it's this hotel that I took a picture of. That's the main road that goes to Asebu. So it's literally the town next to Asebu. They share the border with each other. And to stay in this hotel is £6, £6 to £10 a night. But the only thing they don't have is clean, it's nice, there's a restaurant there, but they don't have internet. So that's the only thing, you'll have to find internet. So it's a really nice hotel, Ampiaba Hotel, if you decide you want to go and take a trip down there. You just turn up, actually, you don't book the hotel. So I'm just going to show you, this is footage I took of the nighttime. So the Jamaican lady who has the shop, we were just in her house. I'm just going to show you outside of her house, really, and just show you, it is the nighttime, but you can see a little bit of how the village looks, how the Pan African village looks. So I'm just going to play this recording.
This is the outside area here. So this is, it's got some lighting as well. That's Mr. Len. He's a Jamaican who lived in Canada.
So that lovely house there is Mr. Len's house. And as I said, he's a Jamaican who lives in Canada and he's moved there. He's built this house. He built this since COVID and he now has an Airbnb, so he rents it to people as well. So that night, in fact, there was a lady staying there from Barbados and a lady staying there from Birmingham, but she was in America, lived in America as well.
And this is Mrs. Moy's house. She's still building because she's doing some Airbnb up the top. But yeah, so this is Miss Moy's place at the Pan African Village in Asebu. You can see people have their cars there. People are driving and doing their thing. And so everybody here is African American, African Caribbean, living abroad but come to re-establish themselves and resettle in Africa. Asebu Pan African Village, central region of Ghana. So here we are in Miss Moy's house. Miss Moy, say hello. Miss Moy is African American from Jamaica, and we are just having a chill out with other people who live in the Pan African Village. Just chilling out on a Sunday, really. And she's built her beautiful house here, which is lovely. So real diaspora people nosing around her house. She's got a lovely bar area here, and I'm going to just take a look outside the door. She's got her bedroom there. I'm not going to go nosing in her bedroom, to be fair. Okay, and this is a picture. This is me. This lady is building her house. So what happens in Asebu is you build your own house. So you see the little red plots that I showed you. You get allocated a plot, and because it's free land, you get allocated in turn. Now, you can go on the website and pay for the plot straight away. I would not recommend that. I'd recommend going to Asebu because I've seen that a lot of people have got plots there. So I can show you the next clip. They've got plots there, but they've not built. So if you can see here, these are two houses that people are building. This lady's from America, and I think this one is from Jamaica. The smaller one is from Jamaica, the bigger one is from America, although I think she's a Jamaican passed through America. And then you can see there's a lot of grass around. So the grass, which you can see, are plots as well. And it's needing people to come back and develop their plot. So these are the size houses which you can build on the plot, but people are not coming back quick enough maybe, or they've just acquired their plot and they're going to be developing. So where you can see all this is green, it's not going to be like that. It's going to look like a residential area. And of course, the beauty of having a plot allocated to you is that you can build your own house. So people from the Caribbean will be very familiar with that, with building their own house. And this lady here, she's an African American. And the first trip that she ever took was to Ghana. And she went there, she came to Asebu Pan African Village and decided she wasn't going to go back home. And she's going to live there with her mum. So she's built a lovely house inside, which when we're going to have other meetings as well, and for people who are interested to go deeper into the building and how you build your house and how much it's going to cost, etc. And then I'll be able to show you inside of the houses that we were looking at and get some cost information for you, etc. So basically, this is how you would
start by building your house and then living in the house, or you can have it for Airbnb as well. So the last thing I want to show you then is the journey now from Asebu Pan African Village to Asebu, because sometimes people can't imagine what that is like. So I actually took the journey. It's about 2 minutes or so. It's not very long, but I wanted people to see exactly how long it would take. So if you leave the Pan African Village, which is what we're just doing now, then I'll just show you the surrounding area on this video.
We're now leaving the area of the Pan African Village.
So it's quite green, but there are a few houses built there as well.
This is the main road.
We're just coming up to the junction, so you can walk down here. It's not far on a nice hot warm day. If it's not too hot, that is. You can walk. So this is the junction here, and if you go left, you would head towards the hotel I showed you, which is about 3-minute drive, 10-minute walk. And if you turn right, you're heading towards Asebu. So the Pan African Village was down the road where we started, and then we're turning right now into Asebu town, which is where the majority of the business happens, where the Jamaican ladies' restaurant is, and where the majority of shops are. So if you wanted to do something commercial there as well, which would be separate to what the chief is offering, you could also get premises here. So this road is the road to Asebu, and it also heads straight to Cape Coast as well.
So it's just a short country road.
So as I'm just saying, it's just a short country road, and then it heads into Asebu. So as you can see here now, we've headed to the town. I told you like towns. It's not a long journey at all to get to meet the local people, to where the local people live. And actually, they're always coming to the Pan African Village to meet people anyway. There's always people coming round, and it's a lovely area. So I just stopped this footage here because when you carry on straight down this road, if you carry on for another 15 minutes, you'll come to where I showed you earlier, which is Yamaransa. And then if you take a left, we're 2.5 hours away from Accra at this point. If you take a left, then you'll head towards Cape Coast, which is to the beach, and very busy tourist area. And that is about another 20-minute drive. So the tourist beach area, Cape Coast, is about 35 minutes, and you'll be in that area. And Cape Coast is also where the Elmina Castle is, and the Cape Coast Castle, or if you say dungeons, because people say we shouldn't be calling them castles, where slavery took place. So the Cape Coast Dungeon and the Elmina Dungeon, which are the white buildings that people go to. It's kind of a pilgrimage, really, in honor of our ancestors who were taken from there. So that is nearby as well. So I wanted to show you about building. I'm just going to check if Byron's here. Yeah, so Byron is on, I believe. So Angie is also there as well. Angie's on as well, I think. Angie was going to talk a bit about, because Angie has acquired a plot in Asebu as well. Angie is from Birmingham through London, and we met her there, and she was more like a Harriet Tubman to us. She was just so super and wonderful, welcoming people. So are you there, Angie? You can come on.
Sorry, Rachel.
Yeah, you can tell us about your experience, why you decided to move to Ghana, how long you've been there, and your experience of the Pan African Village.
Okay, peoples. My name is Angie, Jamaican, coming from the UKKK. Yes, that's what I said, UKKK. I've been living in Ghana for the past 2 years, just over 2 years. Now, I came to Ghana. I was supposed to go to Jamaica, but I suppose the Spirit, the Most High, told me I should be in Ghana. So as soon as the pandemic hit, by December of 2020, I moved to Ghana. And I live in Accra, but I have a plot on the Asebu Before I moved to Ghana, I was trying to get in touch with people from Asebu, but because they didn't really have a setup as such, I couldn't get in touch with anyone. But by the time I moved to Ghana, there was an office set up. The king was on board. Byron, who's the first man and the first Jamaican to acquire a plot in Asebu. In fact, he's very tight with the king because he's the first one there. So the king talks to him a lot. So I'm here in Ghana, living in Ghana, and I must say, it is absolutely wonderful. Of course, everything is wonderful. You face your challenges, but I would prefer to face challenges on the continent than problems in the West. Okay, is that all you want me to say?
How did you find the experience of getting hold of your land, Angie?
Right, okay. Is that Sister Nayaba from Birmingham Strong? Greetings. Anyway, yes, through Byron, everything became, Byron is such a good person and so down to earth and calm and everything. He's been in Ghana for 3 years. And according to him, him now go back. That's according to him. So through Byron, things can run better. So I went to Byron and he made things easier. There's now an office within the King's Palace. So the woman who runs the office, well, Byron runs it really, and his secretary is Florence. Now, since she came last year, things are being done. The indentures are being prepared, the plots are being assigned, and you get an allocation paper. Then your indenture comes. Then you can do whatever you like in building. You actually have 2 years to build, but a lot of people are building right now. Let me give you one example of a Jamaican who's there. His name is Barry. I think he's been direct from Jamaica. I think he's been in Ghana for 4 months, something like that. And he's already building. He's already building. So, you know, some people take a little time. Some people don't take as long. Some people want to just get on with it and do it. But it is green. It is green. You come out of the concrete jungle. You can do so many things. Remember, it's 5,000 acres. Now, the first phase is 100 acres. The second phase, I believe, is about 400 acres. And there's still enough to go around.
Thank you very much, Angie, for that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much. We'll take some questions. I think Nana Okatakyi is on with us. We're really privileged to have him here. So this is Nana, Paramount Chief, King of Asebu Traditional Region. And he's thankfully come on. I think there was a bit of delay in communication with him. So he has graciously joined us today, and we're really happy to have him here. So we just wanted Nana to hear a little bit about the background to this project and just a welcome for people to Ghana. Thank you.
All right. Good evening to everybody there, and thank you for the meeting. And let me apologize for joining late because Baron just called me, and I've been very busy with other things, getting things organized. So forgive me for joining late. I've been listening to some of the stories you are telling, and it's quite interesting to me. And I appreciate this. So I welcome all of you to Ghana, to Asebu, and to the continent. This is our continent. This is our home. This is where we came from before we scattered over the world. But this is the time for us to come back to our roots, because there's nowhere better than your home, your roots. That's why I made this sacrifice to offer land for all our brothers and sisters in diaspora to have a piece of land to build on if they wish to do so. So the background is simply this. When our president went to the United States and declared 2019 as the year of return, and so he came back, and I went to him and said, well, you can ask our brothers and sisters to come back to Ghana. They have been coming, but they will go because there's nothing to tie them down here. So I am prepared to offer some land so that those who are interested can have piece of land and build their houses. And the president was excited about this, and he gave me all the encouragement to go ahead and do it. So we started the process. It has been a long journey, but like Rachel is saying, I think we are making very good progress now. We have a number of people who have already acquired their plots. My last check was about 400 people already, and most of them have started building at different stages of completion. So the idea is we are creating a settlement for ourselves, for all our brothers and sisters in diaspora come in. So we're trying to make Asebu the center for Pan-African activities so that our brothers will come home and have somewhere to stay. Asebu is strategically located between Kumasi, Takoradi, Accra. And so we are almost at the center of these three big cities. And it's very easily accessible from Accra, very easily accessible from Kumasi, and also easily accessible from Takoradi. So you can just travel anywhere in the country from Asebu. Very, very easy to travel around. And so in a nutshell, this is what we are doing. And we need the support of everybody. I think anybody who comes there will decide not to go back, honestly. It's one thing telling the stories, but it's another for you yourself to come and see what is going on there. Very nice environment, green, and of course, we are trying to make the place lovely for all of us. Again, we want to integrate people who are coming into our society, into the Asebu society, into the Ghanaian society, so that you don't feel lonely, you don't feel as a foreigner. You are coming home, so you are coming to your brothers and sisters. And so that is one thing we are trying to also carry on, to integrate all those who are coming into our system. So there have been occasions that we have given names. People have come for Ghanaian names, and we have done that for them for my parish. And people were excited, people were weeping for getting Ghanaian names. And so it was quite interesting and emotional for most people. So I think I will just pause here. And if you have a question, I will take it and then we move on. So thank you very much for having me on the meeting.
Thank you so much, Nana. We really appreciate your presence on here. We are going to allow you to leave the meeting, which is fine, because we will take the questions on your behalf. So thank you so much for your presence, and we will hope to meet you in Ghana, in Asebu. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, and take care. Bye.
Bye. So we are going to have a Q&A in a moment, but what I want to do now is to introduce Nana Gale from Legacy Gardens, and she is just going to talk to us. She's been in Ghana for 24 years, and she's going to just talk to us about moving to Ghana and what it's like to live in Ghana and the pros and cons of being in Ghana after all these years. Because don't forget, if you move to Asebu, it's Ghana that you're moving to generally. So she's just going to come and talk to us about that. So now, Gail, please, thank you. Go for it.
Greetings, Sister Rachel.
Greetings.
And good evening to everyone. I'm also a bit late because there's normally no difference in time between the UK and Ghana, but then the UK, they put the clocks forward for an hour. So I was so intent on being on time, then I realized, oh my goodness, I'm an hour late. But thank you very much for allowing me to just contribute a few words to this. And thank you so much, Sister Rachel, and your sister Melva, and all those that are working with you to bring this project, to the forefront. I think it's so important. And Nana, the chief of Asebu, he just made a very important comment. He said that in order to make people feel that they've come home, in order for you to feel cemented in the land, you need your own piece of land. And so what he's done and what you're doing in bringing that to people's awareness is amazing, because yes, for me, the journey began around 24, 25 years ago. And what really made me feel part of Ghana, what made me feel that I had come home, was having my own land. And that really makes you feel as if you belong, because you have a piece of land you can develop. What we did on our land in the beginning was farming. So we actually used to eat off the land. We had our own corn and beans and callaloo. And we used to eat off the land almost every day with our own pepe and garlic and ginger, etc. But yes, coming to Ghana, now is a really good time. Now is the right time. I think Ghanaians are very receptive to welcoming people from the diaspora home. There's been a lot of preparation for this. The year of return, 2019, is now the decade of return. And really, there's no excuse. There's no reason to delay, because many people who don't have their, what shall I say, who don't have their ancestry from the continent are here. They're here with their families, with their children. They're building schools. They're really making themselves feel at home in Ghana. Our people here, they're wondering why we are delaying. So now that the chief of Asebu has so generously and warmly donated this land for people from the diaspora to come, this is an opportunity not to be missed. It really is something that if you have the opportunity to get your plot or several plots, I think you should do that now. And Sister Rachel has done the groundwork, and she's continuing to make those links and connections and make it possible for you to have all your questions answered. So I would encourage everybody to make that move. For me, in the beginning, it was for adventure. I'm not going to say I was escaping from the West. My family was still there, family in the Caribbean. I have family in the UK and in the States and so on. So it wasn't about escaping. It was really about finding somewhere where I could develop my own ambitions and develop my own ideas. So we have a guest house, and we do holiday rentals and tours, different excursions and retreats. We also have a school. We've decided to take the advice of my mother, who said that we should build a school for the community. So we have a number of people from the diaspora who also work with us in the school. So yes, being in Ghana has been a very great blessing. It's a fantastic opportunity. Oh my gosh, you've got a picture of me there. And I can say that it's kept me very young. One thing, when you come back to the motherland, you get given longer life. So sometimes people, they will meet you and they'll wonder, if you tell them your age, they don't believe it. Because with the natural air, the clean water, the largely organic food, the peaceful environment, it adds years to your life. I can say that's something that I have definitely experienced. So I think I'll leave it there. I can go on and on, but I'm happy to answer any questions if I can help with that while I'm here.
I was just screen sharing Nana Gale's business there. She's got a business called Legacy Gardens, so I was just screen sharing that for you, and that's in Accra. In the area is called
it's called Pekwase. Pekwase.
Thank you very much. Pekwase. Thank you very much. This is how Ghana is. There's so many people that have been there and stuff that we won't get lost if you go, so that's great. All right, so what I wanted to do then was open up to a Q&A. And we've got a few minutes, about half an hour or so we planned for this, so we don't have to go over, but certainly we want to get people's questions answered if you've got questions. There's some questions in the chat there. I can't really see everybody, but certainly if you've got questions, just ask the question. It might be easier if you put questions in the chat, just feel free to ask the question and mute yourself or put your hand up if somebody's already talking, and then we'll get to you and ask the question. So who wants to go first?
Hello, can I just ask, right, what's the healthcare system like? How reliable is it?
Okay, so yeah, Nana Gale, if you're there, you can tackle that one maybe.
Yes. Okay, the healthcare system, I think it depends on what your healthcare needs are and how open you are to trying traditional medicines, and also looking at, prevention rather than cure. I would say that. If you're able to, you can get private medical insurance. If you already have that in the UK, then it's highly likely that you'll be able to use your insurance in Ghana. If not, there's something called the National Health Insurance Scheme, and you can apply for an NHIS card, which does give you a discount on most medical treatment. But if you have an emergency, then I think most people go to the private medical facilities and then they pay for the treatment that they need, what they call cash and carry. I think it's fair to say that that system is affordable. If somebody is coming to Ghana as a retired person and they need medical treatment on a regular basis and they have to pay for it each time, I think it's actually very affordable. The cash and carry system is nothing like what you have in somewhere like the United States. But if you're open to trying traditional medicines, the herbs and the root and the bark and so on, then of course medical treatment and so on is not only affordable, but it's also more likely to add years to your life than shorten it.
Thank you very much. And I'll add there that Nana Gale's husband has been in Ghana since, is it 1989? 1989. And I think he would only deal with the natural things. So if you go to Legacy Gardens, you'll get, in addition, very good natural remedies as well. Angie, did you want to add anything about the healthcare?
Okay, healthcare. Yes. As Legacy Garden says, hi, by the way, as she said, prevention is better than cure. And that's what we do a lot. Even in the Caribbean, you find your herbs and, the West doesn't care about prevention. The West just cares about selling you the drugs that will get you hooked. So on the African continent, prevention is better than cure. So you can get the herbs you need. People have been, including me, with high blood pressure that's disappeared. That's almost gone because you're using the herbs. But a difference in the West, I think that healthcare in Ghana is much better. But I'm talking about private healthcare, and it's not even that expensive when you add it up and compare. So those are my thoughts. Much better on the African continent. I can talk about Ghana, but yeah, much better. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, yeah, I'm Kobia here. When I went to Ghana, I bought malaria tablets from the UK that cost an arm and a leg. And when I got to Ghana, I got the same malaria tablets for 50 pence, and I'd spent about £20 in the UK. So, and the tablets were excellent. So that might give people some sort of an indication of the price difference. That what you pay for in the UK, you get at a fraction of a cost on the motherland.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually. I was very naughty. I didn't finish my malaria tablets because there didn't seem to be any mosquitoes in Ghana. When I'm in Uganda, I get bitten alive, but there was nothing going on in Ghana, so I didn't finish them. But it's a good point you raise, because I do wait until I go to Africa. I don't know, I think you're supposed to take them before you go, really. But I wait till I go and buy them there, because instead of having to take one every day, in Africa, they're a bit stronger. And so you can take one a week instead, and they're also a lot cheaper as well. Well, thank you for that contribution. Charlene had a question about the lease. Charlene, are you there? You'd like to ask that question? I'll just read it out otherwise. I think she was just asking what happens after 55 years. Yeah, it's not automatic renewal. She's asking, is it automatic renewal? So I mentioned that the land is on a 55-year lease. It's not automatic renewal. You will need, as with any lease, you'll need to renegotiate the terms and get the lease. Probably won't be me, because I'll be over 100 or so by then. But well, close. But yeah, it'd be your person you pass the land on to. They'll have to negotiate the terms then, Normally, what we're told, and what I know to be true in Africa, is it's not anything big. You just go, the family will just go and say to the chief, we want to renew the lease, and the chief will renew the lease because the chief doesn't have any big interest in the land. So that's normally how it's done. And if you become a citizen of Ghana, then, which I think, if I'm correct, Nana Gale, who just spoke to us, she's a citizen of Ghana, as is her whole family. And then you can get 99 years as well. Has anybody got another question?
Hi, yes, I do.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Hi, greetings, everyone.
Greetings.
My name's Frankie.
Okay. Hi.
Okay, so everybody decides to go. Well, what concerns me is about the environmental impact we're going to have, because as you say, the place is very green. We want it to stay that way. So what kind of policies are in place to kind of offset the kind of impact, especially in terms of people building their own houses, for instance, the whole thing with regards to like drainage, that type of thing, not contaminating the natural water supply, things like that. So kind of looking at the everyday kind of practical issues, really. So what advice do you have with regards to that?
Yeah, that's a really good question, and it's a big cause for concern because people have raised the issue of the environment as well. I was just trying to see if Byron is on, but I'm not sure if he's on.
Byron's on now.
Oh, hello, Byron. There you go. That's a good question for you right there. Did you hear that question?
Oh, yeah, talking about the environment.
Yeah.
The drainage, the infrastructure.
Yes.
Yeah.
Precisely.
We're also looking at that, we're working on that, and we'd like some more people with ideas to come over and help us to get it right, because, it's something that we haven't dealt with ourselves, most of us, but we have to do everything. But there's also engineers and people here that knows how to do it, what to do. But we wouldn't mind some people from the West,
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's an honest answer, basically. I probably would have, being a lawyer, I probably would have fumbled around and got a different answer. But that's just an honest answer. The reality is, in Asebu, one of the things that the chief has done by inviting people to come there is he's opened his community to the rest of the world, because a lot of people do talk about Asebu as well known now in Ghana. It's talked about as, and it's just actually a small town, really. So by all means, as Byron is saying, these are great opportunities for people, even if you don't want to get land there or move there, to go there like I did and see what's happening on the ground and how you can contribute. So that's a really good answer there. So who asked that question? Are you going to come to
that was myself, yeah.
Okay. Oh, was it?
Frankie.
Oh, yeah, there you go, yeah. So we're looking forward to you coming there. Do you have skills of that nature?
We can do everything.
Oh, okay, definitely.
We can do everything. I'm talking about us as Black people. We can do everything. The problem is a lot of our skills, our time is wasted, invested here with no reward. Whereas if we go there, we can see what we're building, what we're contributing on a daily basis.
It's such a good
as long as there's an opportunity to bring engineers out there, bring environmentalists out there, and engage with the local people, because they have the solutions. They're used to working with the environment. So it's that thing about working in partnership, not coming with
partnership and sharing ideas. Yeah, sharing ideas. So John Charles, do you have a question?
Wanted to just ask if there's any other costs, associated with the, with the lease. So if it's sort of like gauge better what the say like monthly cost would be for living out there. If you own one plot, a couple of plots, whatever, how and taxes, rates, all that kind of thing.
So Byron, you've lived there for 2 years or so. What are the additional costs?
Yeah, but I haven't paid any tax.
Are you supposed to?
Things are so out here. You build the house and the house is yours. You don't pay rates. You don't pay no kind of tax. You might pay small electric bill, but that's it. You build your home and it's yours. You don't have to be paying every month for it. There's no mortgage, there's no nothing. Because the thing is, the house is so easy to build. And when I'm talking about money, it doesn't cost an arm and a leg. you know, I built my house with like pocket change, you know. You know, a house here that would maybe cost you maybe 500,000, you know, maybe in Birmingham, Wolverhampton, man, you know, you have to be in the best part of the area. But, you know, it would perhaps cost you about 30,000 here to build. You know, so that's how it is. It's very cheap here.
Okay, another question is that, well, you know, from that question, like the services. So you said a small electricity bill. So is there a national electricity grid operating in that area? Have you got the services of water, gas, even, or electricity? Is there anything else? Just gas?
Yeah,
just electricity
how
and
it
water?
works here. How it works here. Now, most people just have a borehole that you get your water from. You know, you drill through the earth and you get your water, and that's a borehole. And we have electrics, you know, so we have electricity. And normally you buy you know, your canister, the bottle of gas, and that will run your cooker, you know, so you don't have to pay for gas and you don't have to pay for water rates, and, you know, and the electric, you can do pay as you go, you know, you can do a monthly bill and it's very, very cheap. It's hardly anything.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Nana, Gail, if you're there, do you have anything to add to that? I was just putting in the chat as well, because somebody asked a very good question. How do you actually apply for the land? And that you can just contact me. I'm at info@ourafricanfarm.com. info@ourafricanfarm.com. You can just say Rachel. And then we liaise with the people on the ground in Ghana. So does anybody else have a question?
Yes, I've got a question. Sister Binta here. Greetings. Greetings. Yeah. I actually live in Ghana now, but I'm visiting, short visit to England, and then I can't wait to go back. It's so cold here.
Oh dear. How long have you been in Ghana now?
I've been living in Ghana since January 22.
Oh, wonderful. Excellent.
Yeah. I'm actually interested in the land. However, what would happen if somebody is unable to build the house or their residence within the 2-year period? What would actually happen?
The chief is not, I mean, you've seen if you were there, he's a very amenable person, very kind-natured person, as you can tell. And it's not that it's going to be forceful to build, but the idea really, and one of the things that we're going to be doing in having more meetings like this is just to see if people were interested. And one of the things I would encourage people is, to be fair, if you know your budget, that you can't afford to build a house within the foreseeable future, then you wouldn't acquire the land really, because at the end of the day, you would have paid the administration fees as well and the registration fees, which the registration monies and administration costs are paid to somebody else. So they wouldn't be, you wouldn't get those back. So the best thing to do is to look at your finances first, get ideas about building and how much it's going to cost, and don't go forward unless you can afford to do so, really, what I would say.
That's fair enough, because I mean, I've already built my house, so I'd be looking at a small. It would be something very small, you know, because I've already got a house that I'm actually living in, you know. But that land in that particular area, it's
in the central region.
Yeah.
And it's a lovely region because it's near Cape Coast area, so it's very nice.
Yeah, I know the region. Yeah.
Has anybody got another question?
I just wanted to say, Rachel, just on that point as well, to Sister Binta, who, yes, has been here for quite a while, and she built her own house. Well done to her. And I think it's important that people, you know, look at their budget and be realistic about what they can afford. Because one thing I think it's fair to say, the cost of building has gone up a lot, maybe in the last 5 years or so. So when you come to budget, you really have to cut your cloth, you know, cut your cloth to what you have, or cut your coat to the cloth you have, and be realistic about it. Sometimes we hear people coming from the West and they're used to living quite humbly. They have a small flat or a small property, something quite humble, but then they come to Ghana and for some reason they want to build a palace.
Yes.
And I think everybody, you need to be realistic about what you can afford and realize that you don't actually need a massive house unless you're building for commercial purposes. Much of your life will be outside. You'll enjoy your garden, your farming, and so on. So think reasonable and look at your budget, and don't start something that you can't finish. That's what I would advise.
Excellent. Can everybody mute themselves if they're not talking? Thank you. Yeah, thank you. A great point. I'm so guilty. I was building quite a big property in Africa, in Uganda, and then in the end, we just had to put the roof on top because it was just getting so expensive as we went up in different stories. So that's a really valid point. Be mindful that you can build from the beginning to the end, basically. And Angie is very helpfully put in the chat there that cement has gone up almost astronomically from what I can see, from 40 CDs a bag to in 22 to now almost 100 CDs a bag. I know Angie's building as well, so you really got to be mindful of, probably as Nana Gale is saying there, think smaller and you can always extend because the prices will go up as you build as well, because there's no requirement to rush your building and you can take a number of years, because when you finish, it's not like having a 25-year mortgage. You'll finish probably in 2 to 5 years, or some people build in 1 to 2 years. So you can look at your budget. And somebody has asked, if you have a Caribbean passport, do you need a visa? Can you stay as long as you like? I got the visa the other day, it was quite tricky. I know that if you have a Caribbean passport, you don't need to get a visa to visit Ghana. Does anybody else have anything to add? And you would need, though, if you're going to work there, and that's where a lot of people fall down, really. You need to get proper work rights to do work or business in Ghana and to live in Ghana. But the Caribbean passport, you can enter Ghana without having to get a visa beforehand. Does anybody want to add anything to that?
Yeah, Rachel. I think for those of us coming from the UK, I think it's very important if we try and go for both passports. Because when I get to Ghana, as you said in the last meeting, Ghana is the gateway to Mother Africa. It doesn't mean that once you get to Ghana, you have to stop there. You can travel on and come back too. So I think it's good for those of us living in the UK to tap into our birthright and try and get those Caribbean passports. I think it's crucial, actually. It's very crucial for us to do that. And it's an easy process. It's not as hard as some people think.
Yeah, that's an excellent idea. But you can apply for, I think somebody's saying if you have a passport, but you can apply for, most of us can apply for Caribbean passports from our parents' heritage. It's part of Ghana and the Caribbean, it's part of Africa actually, because most African countries, if you've got a Caribbean passport, you don't need a visa. So it's really part of Africa and the Caribbean connecting. And so if you're thinking of going to Africa, then you might think of getting that Caribbean visa if you're entitled to it. I see some people here from Jamaica. Anything to add there? People from the Caribbean? Any questions you want to ask?
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Or partly more like a statement in terms of, are we taking our colonial minds and Western ways there by not being eco-friendly if we could not use natural materials that are going to be sustainable, harness natural resources, like the brother talked of using the borehole and possibly even digging wells and using making cob houses, or well, cob they would known as in Wales, adobe houses out of the soil, than going through all that westernized stuff and polluting the environment by using blocks and bricks making cement. It would be cheaper, it would be more sustainable, because you have generations to come after us, and we're on the motherland where resources are there naturally and sustainable.
Yeah, so it's such a good point, and people these days are looking forward more and more to building more eco-friendly, and it can be cheaper as well. I don't know if it's taking colonialism to Africa. Well, you may have been to Africa, but my experience as well, they've got their own issues there with protecting the environment as well. But yes, certainly people can look at that. When you get your plot of land and you build, there's nobody to tell you what materials you're going to use. But I have seen people there, they use mud, they put the mud in the bags and they build with mud, and there's all different ways people are building. So it will be your own bit of contribution to the environment to build in an eco-friendly way, I think. So that's a really good point. Thank you.
Thank you.
So anybody else got a question?
Can I ask something, please? It's my manager here.
Hi.
Yeah, I've been listening to the discussions, and yeah, I'm all for that. But what I'd like to ask is, you know, we're here talking about buying land, but nobody's talking about becoming a resident or getting citizenship in Ghana. Can you please talk about that? Because you can't just buy land. You can't just buy land and go and live there. You have to be a resident, you have to be a citizen. So how does that work? Can you please explain it to people who don't know? Thank you.
Yeah. So basically, the offer for this free land is available to people who are not citizens in Ghana. But part of the administration and part of one of the reasons why it's interesting for me, particularly even as a solicitor, to support this particular project than any other project and initiative is because you come under the paramount chief's remit for him to look after us as we proceed into Ghana. And that was one of the reasons that I went to Ghana, and that was one of the reasons I wanted him to come onto this meeting and speak and see that, you know, there are people interested, and to really ensure that he forms that relationship with us. Now, one of the things that they will do as well is help people to get their residence. There is word that they will be helping people to get their citizenship, but I know that citizenship is not easy to come by. And therefore, I would say that residence is more of an option. If you do acquire land in the Pan African Village, then they will help you with your resident documents, because absolutely you can't just come and stay. Although some people say we got the right to be there, we have, but in terms of legalities, you do have to get your resident documents sorted. So part of being under the Pan African Village initiative as well, then they will go through with you how to get your residence. And citizenship is a bit harder to come by. Although it's not like in the UK where you've got to necessarily be in the UK for a number of years or other countries for a number of years when you're going through the right to return. There are obviously the normal Ghanaian routes to citizenship, but some of us have gone down the right to return route and they've been able to get citizenship that way. Nana Gale, are you still on the call? I know she was going to leave because of her internet connection, but she is a citizen of Ghana. And although she's been there a long time, it all is to do with the contribution that they have made as people from the diaspora to Ghana. And so some people get their citizenship, actual Ghanaian citizenship quickly, and some people it takes longer depending on your circumstances. But Ghana is one of the countries where they are very open to giving us from the diaspora citizenship without having to go through the normal process that other people would have to go through. So that's something that you would give guidance on. Oh yes.
And could I just add just something to that as well, Sister Rachel? It's very interesting that in all the time that, you know, we've been here, my husband's been here over 30 years, I think over 35 years, I've lost count now. And in all that time, we've never known of any diasporan being deported for whatever. There's a lot of people who came to Ghana never intending to stay and stayed. You know, they would be classified as overstayers. But once they never wanted to travel again, once they didn't try to fly out or cross a border, the issue of them having overstayed was never raised. And yes, as far as we know, no one has ever been told that you don't belong here and you cannot stay, and no one's ever been sent out of the country. You know, that's as far as I know. Maybe somebody will come forward and say, oh, that's not correct. I know someone who was deported back to America, or I know someone who was deported back to Jamaica. But in all the time we've been here, we've never heard of that, you know. And it's an interesting thing as well, just from a historical basis that before independence, 1957, if you returned, and there have been waves of diasporans returning to West Africa since slavery. You know, you had people returning from Brazil, and they came and they settled in Ghana, and they're called the Tabon people, and they live in Jamestown. And before independence, you could just come back and see the chief of the area, and they would give you land and tell you to make yourself at home.
Yes, thank you. Excellent contribution there. But I would say, however, that, it's highly advisable to get those residence documents if we're going to stay in Ghana. But absolutely, I've not heard of anyone being deported, but I have heard of people who they've come there and built a business, and then because of, well, I would just call it bad-mindedness, I guess, on behalf of people who are, Ghanaians or people who are resident there, they then can be reported for not trading properly and not having the proper license, and then their businesses have been affected. So it's such a good idea to organise your documents if you're going to live in any country, really. So we're winding up in a bit. Has anybody got any questions? Any more questions?
Hi, Rachel.
Yes.
Yeah. There's certain rules, I think, that's been set out regarding the land. And I think one of the things that a lot of people are saying is a bit controversial, well, not everyone, is that the land is for diasporans of the African diasporans and not Europeans. So I've heard some people saying, well, why can't Europeans come? Can you elaborate on that first, please?
Well, well, my answer was, thank goodness you didn't have to go through the transatlantic slave trade. This land is for people to return. This is based, as I started off at the beginning, from the Ghanaian government telling people, and we heard the chief say, to return people who are descendants of the transatlantic slave trade and who appear to look like descendants as well, to return to Africa, to Ghana, to have a land. We don't have a land, and this is to give us land. And the chief, as the chief said, he spoke to the president directly and said to him, well, these people, you're telling them to come back home. They don't have any home to come to, people from the diaspora. And so I don't think it's meant to be anything discriminatory. It's just focusing on us, on we, it's about us. It's not really about anybody else, to be fair. It's about us and what we can do and how we can return to Africa. People, of course, can return to Ghana, and Ghana is a very welcoming country. And Nana Gail did say just then that there's many people who are in Ghana who are not of African heritage at all. There's many Chinese people there, there's Asian people there, there's European people there, everybody's there. So there isn't an issue with people going to Ghana, but this is the Pan African Village. And so the chief has reserved it for people who are of African heritage and who appear to be Black people, basically, of African heritage. So that's all that is. It's nothing controversial. I mean,
Can't wait.
Sorry?
Can't wait to be amongst our own. That's how it should be.
Well, it's probably not even as broad as all that, but it's just a matter of, giving us an opportunity to have land to return to. Because if you're from the diaspora, then you won't have land. And some people have lost touch with the Caribbean as well, and they want to go back to Africa. So is there any other questions? Great. If you have any other questions and you're too shy or you didn't get a chance, you couldn't take yourself off mute, you can email me at info@ourafricanfarm.com if you want to know about acquiring the land, and we are your contact from the diaspora, particularly the UK and the Caribbean, to acquire land in Ghana. We're working directly with the palace, and so we can help you to acquire that land as well. And then I wanted to tell you about the repatriation trip that we are having in September 2023. It's likely to be mid-September, around the 14th. It's just we're exploring this at the moment with Nana Gail, who is of Legacy Garden. So you're going to have a lovely opportunity to visit her beautiful premises and get some natural living as well. And the trip would involve a tour to the capital, Accra, around Accra, because there's some lovely places there that need to be explored. And also a tour of the Asebu Pan African Village. So you'll get an opportunity to spend a good few days in the area and to really explore the Pan African Village and ask all the questions and see the place for yourself, and whether it's somewhere that you would like to build your home, acquire land. And you can, of course, go and see where you'd like to have that land in terms of the plots which are available, because how it's done, the plots are just allocated. You're not buying it, so you don't go around shopping for it, so to speak. So it's allocated, but there will be opportunities there to speak to the staff member at the palace and to see, make sure that you're in an area that you know that you want to be in. And we'll visit Cape Coast as well in our trip. And as I said, Cape Coast is in the Asebu area. You can stay in the Amenfi Hotel, $6 to $10 a night, or if you really want something a bit more posh and at market, then you can stay in a Cape Coast hotel, and it goes up to, say, over £100 a night, depending on what you're looking for. So we can always accommodate the different tastes as well. And with Cape Coast, we'll be able to have that historical tour of the transatlantic slave trade route by visiting the Almina Dungeon and the Cape Coast Dungeon as well. And really being able to pay homage to our ancestors and remembering the journey that they took and the reason that we are all relocating to Africa. So that trip is actually at the moment on Eventbrite, and you can register on Eventbrite. You're only registering for the interest, to show your interest in the trip. You're not registering, you're not going to pay for the trip then. And once you register your interest, you can contact you about registering for the trip. There it is. If you go onto Eventbrite, it's a Ghana repatriation trip. If you can copy and paste or see it from the screen, it'll go straight to our Eventbrite site, and you can register your interest. So you're not registering to pay, or you're not obligated. We're just getting a sort of gauge or gauge of the interest of people, 10 to 12 people really. And it's going to be an intimate trip, maximum probably 20 people, an intimate trip, a travel to Ghana to see the Asebu Pan African Village, get in touch with our heritage, and to really enjoy ourselves and have a good time. Because we also went out clubbing and it was really good as well. Nobody cared about the age of all the different people that we went with, so you can really shake a leg there as well. So thank you all so much for attending. Don't forget info@ourafricanfarm.com. If you want to connect with me, you can follow me on my social media. It's Rachel Okello, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And you can, if you're going to Ghana, please don't forget to stay at Legacy Gardens. That's me there. Don't forget to stay at Legacy Gardens, and you can contact Nana Gale and just let her know, reminder that you saw her here. And we hope to see you on our trip. And I will also be emailing about other Zoom meetings that we have, and connect with us and stay in touch. All right, so thank you everybody. Have a great evening. I can't see any more questions. There are still questions coming in the chat, or you might just be saying good night and have a great evening. Oh, I'm glad you found it informative. Great. And we'll keep in touch, and we'll have other meetings as well. All right, thank you so much, everybody. Take care. Have a good evening. Good night.